So welcome to Web3 marketing and growth. This is a topic that I think not many people have been talking about, maybe outside of this space. So I think it'll be really interesting to kind of share and hear about what is happening either in startups or well-established companies. So firstly, I'd like to do an introduction. We have Yoav, who came all the way from Tel Aviv from Collider Ventures. We have Silvio, who's from Tide. If you take a look at your pass, there's a Tide QR code at the back. Then we have Alessandro, who is one of the event organizers, and we have Davide, who is coming from Consensys. So, if I could, can I start with Yoav to do a quick introduction, and then we'll slowly move on to Silvio, Alessandro, and Davide.
So, good morning. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Yoav Tzuker. I'm a partner and CEO and CMO of Collider Ventures. I'll start with a fun fact about myself. I was hosting for more than 20 years on television the National Lottery in Israel. So I'm the one that people stopped in the street and complained for the bringing, bad numbers. That's it. So I started my marketing journey like more than 20 years ago in Procter & Gamble. Then I founded one of the first media agencies, online media agencies in Israel. It was acquired by Publicis Group. I was CEO of Publicis Media, and then a few CMO executive roles. And I kind of went into the rabbit hole of blockchain and Web3, and I joined Collider. Collider is the sole and only, I would say, VC in Israel that is focused only on Web3. Our main thesis is on infrastructure and security and safety stack. And actually just less than a week ago, there was a big announcement on the blog that our research arm found a bug of vulnerability on the GMX exchange, and we got a bounty of more than $1 million. So this shows how we are very, very dedicated on the safety, and it's not a typical move for VCs, but it is very important for us to have this place safety secured and fraud detected.
Morning, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Silvio, CEO and co-founder of Tide. I have a background in statistics and machine learning. I've been working in the aerospace industry and financial service industry, both in Asia and the US. And then started my crypto journey in 2020. First developing DeFi apps, like the very first like DeFi summer. And then I founded a startup and pivoted to Web3 marketing technology. Currently, Tide helps businesses grow, like acquiring users and retaining users with Web3 powered campaigns. So users have to perform tasks, purchases, social media actions, Web3 actions, and in turn they receive tokens and NFTs. We are working with many DeFi players, but we are also expanding to the Web2 world. As a matter of fact, we just closed an incubation deal with a very big US company, which will be announced next week. And yeah, glad to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. You have seen my face around here. It's nice to sit on a panel as well. So as Laura mentioned, I'm one of the organizer and founder also of Web3Me and the event. But I'm also head of growth at Transak, which is basically a fiat on and off ramp and onboarding platform. And we're backed by Consensys, Animoca brands, working with some of the major wallets out there, as well as expanding to gaming and, pretty much everywhere there is a DApp, there is a need to, use fiat or standard channels. So we facilitate that. About myself, so I studied politics and then economics. I started working in finance. I was working for Bloomberg. Then kind of went into the crypto rabbit hole. Started at Transak 2020. So it's been like quite I would say, interesting roller coaster. And my expertise lies in pretty much growth as well as BD. So I've been covering a lot of these functions as, you know, we have been growing, and, you know, these techniques, I think, can work into anything. And I like to experiment, obviously, with blockchain and NFTs and the technology. So I've worked also with Tide, and you know, I've been using many of these growth tools. And yeah, excited for the panel.
Hi everyone, good morning. And first of all, I want to give a big shout out to the organizers and also to Alessandro for this beautiful event. I think that we deserve this in Milan after a long time of sleepy and boring events. So thanks you guys for this event. I'm Davide Di Stefano. I'm from Consensys NFT. I've been in crypto since 2016. I've first been working for mostly in consulting, so essentially experiencing projects with enterprises, legacy companies across different crypto and blockchain applications. Then I delved into the NFT space in 2021, so essentially the beginning of the NFT hype, and I immediately got that this was really the first phenomena able to bring on Web3 the next 100 million, 200 million users. So I think that at the end NFT could be the real Trojan horse for the Web3 to bring the mass adoption, the mainstream users to Web3. I think it's compared to other market segments like DeFi are not focused on a specific and very tight market niche, but it can really have a mainstream adoption. I think that most of you already know Consensys. So I won't spend any words on Consensys, but probably few of you knows that Consensys is really active in the NFT space since 2021. We have been working in the last 2 years mostly on the enterprise brand side. So we have work with lots of brands, big enterprises, enabling their new Web3 customer journeys. So essentially we provided them all the technology, but not only the technology, also the strategic support to bootstrap those new Web3 customer journeys. Today, we are trying also to shift a bit our mind from the enterprise and brands environment to the full creator economy. So our goal right now in terms of Consensys NFT is essentially to really offer tools and protocols to creators to really empower themselves in a better community engagement, a real genuine ownership of their community.
Okay, thank you. So Davide, actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to something that you mentioned, what Consensys was doing before they engaged with creators. Can you talk about when you were working with maybe enterprises, particularly in the Web2 space, what were some of the Web3 marketing strategies that they wanted to work on, and what, if you had the ability to advise now, would be what should be the strategies that they should focus on now and what they should ignore?
Absolutely, that's a real inspiring question. And I think that at the end, I mean, the Web3 marketing, if we want to call it in this way, I think they can be inspireful for a lot of Web2 brands. Essentially why? Because, I mean, the concept of community that born from the Web3, it's something at the end, completely new brand. I mean, it's a new, completely concept of community. And also here, I mean, the concept of a community that's attached to a specific brand, it's completely different from the past. Obviously, here we are experiencing the needs of the Gen Z that has completely different expectation compared to the previous generations, and they want to be not only a passive part of the community of a brand, but they want to really co-create with brands, so to have a co-sharing of value with the brand itself. And this is, I think, the most inspiring thing that Web2 brands can look when they look at Web3 marketing strategy. So essentially, the marketing itself in Web3 is completely different. It's not a top-down approach, but it's completely a bottom-up approach where lots of ideas, lots of new content generation come from the bottom itself, so from the community. And this obviously also increase the chance for a brand to better retain users, to better also not only to retain, but also to acquire new users with a lower probably cost. So essentially, yeah, I think that this could be the most inspireful thing that Web2 brands should look at. I mean, it's not a chance that it's not by any chance that we have seen lots of brands that in the last like 1 year, 2 years, couple of years, they've tried to bootstrap new communities, trying to replicate the Web3 dynamics. So we have seen, and we were speaking about this just earlier, we have seen lots of brands, also very huge brands. I mean, lastly, we have seen Louis Vuitton, they made this, to open community, for example, on Discord. I mean, Discord is just a channel at the end, so it's not the core point of the community proposition of Web3. But at the end, I mean, what they are trying to replicate is this genuine community that we can find in Web3, and those community want to generate a co-share value, not only for the brand, but also for the community itself.
Okay, so what about you, Silvio? Working with Web2 companies can also be a challenge. And so if you were, and now that you have just won a new contract, what are some of the things that you would tell them to work on, focus on, and what to ignore?
Yeah, first, working with Web2 companies is like very hard, and is much different than working with DeFi companies. There are totally different expectations, and it's very hard to sell if you say the word NFT in the first place. You have to like shift the value proposition and understand like what matters for them. And it's also hard, in my experience at least, to sell the community, because like they want to get ROI, they want to get data, they want to get something that they can compare to 20, 30 years of advertising industry. So in my experience now it's been that there won't be any more NFT drops. There won't be any more brand riding the hype wave of NFTs. But there will be more NFT usage as tracking, as technology, as the future of ad tech. So the idea is that Web3 can expand digital identities of users, and companies have to capitalize on that. So the value proposition of being able to link a Web2 identity with wallets can be super compelling for giants in media, for retailers, and for a whole array of brands. And that's because there are problems in the marketing and advertising industries which are very much felt right now. So the demise of cookies, the low transparency in the ad tech value chain, the lower engagement in loyalty. So there are like huge problems that I think Web3 technology can improve upon and will do in the next years. So what we are trying to do is try to nail down and sell on these problems. Because now, really, if you say NFT, you go to an agency, like they don't understand the point of it. And they are not used to this kind of jargon. So I think we are seeing a bear market shift toward like getting more the value straight out of it, the ROI. And but I think it's helpful and will evolve very soon.
Okay, I'm actually going to Yoav. From a VC point of view, you also kind of work with not only startups, but you also interact with Web2 companies. So what are some of the advice that you have, either to the startups that you guys invest in or to Web2 companies that come to you?
So I wanted to say something from my own personal journey as a marketeer. As I told you, more than 20 years of experience. And when I went into the Web3, I had to make some big mind shifts, I would say, from moving from Web2 to Web3. And I would like to refer to your question of what Web2 marketeers can take from that, because I have now, the point of view of both worlds. And I think there are several things, but I will try to summarize it into 3 or 4 main topics. So the first one would be to prefer value over profit. And you said, Web2 marketers, they're only looking for the profit. They need to know how they acquire users, what is the ROI, and it's everything about this economics. I lived there. I was one of the main pushers for this, I would say, for this method in the Israeli ecosystem. And I see how much it differs in the Web3, how much value you can give to users. And this is another mind shift that you had to make, moving from customers to owners, because you refer to your users as a customers. You try to sell them as much as you can, optimize each and every enter to your website, to your store, to whatever. And now you have to understand that your users or your customers are now owning a part of your company. And I think this is a mind shift that if Web2 marketeers would be able to make, to treat users as their owners, that would be a great change, because that they will be able to bring more value, bring more valuable content, valuable products. So this is another thing. And another thing I would say is to understand the difference between audience and masses, or audience and the community, because you refer to audience with all the targeting options that you have, and you divide it into cohorts, but at the end of the day, the bulk of people in mass is the audience, and now it is a community. And I would like to refer to your clever things at the beginning. Community is the best. It's the best, I would say, marketing approach for marketeers in the Web3. If they try to, because I remember when I managed big marketing departments, community managers were the one that reported to the one that reported to the one that reported to me. And now community, the marketing executive in Web3 have the background of community managers. And Web2 companies should learn from that how to retreat, or how to build a community, or how to bring value to community, how to interact with the community. And I think these are the main things that they have to make this reversal mind shift, as I did from Web2 to Web3.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play devil's advocate a little bit. To me, it always feels weird to, build a community when you have already a brand. I think like, oh, why should I be part of a Louis Vuitton Discord? Yeah, for me, it doesn't even make sense, right? So I think that doing that process is kind of hard. It's easier for companies that are modern companies. I think this will be the next wave of companies. They will start with a community itself and then build a brand that is actually kind of community owned. I think this reverse process is very, very difficult. And maybe if you have like a very, very good brand, then you will be able to do that. I think at the end of the day, all of this technology is interesting for Web2 companies because the customer acquisition cost is incredibly low. And of course, you will convert less and less as companies and projects realize that, and they'll spam NFTs. But yeah, if you think about it, you claim some sort of free NFT, and boom, you are in a funnel, and we know how hard it is today to even get someone to open an email, right? So, I mean, that's insane. And it will not stay like this, of course, because there is already a lot of spam. The second point is this is happening at the moment where like ads are completely broken. Probably ads could be even the biggest fraud we have seen in history, I believe. And I think there was a lot of push from Web2 companies and Google and the big like giants to make us believe that ads actually work, but I don't think they do. So I mean, these new models of interaction are very, very powerful because they can create funnels. So yeah, I would say that if you're actually able to create these engagements, I think what is very interesting is then like the new models that can emerge. And this is not just true, you know, in a particular sector, it's true everywhere. Even like today, later on, we'll talk about music industry and the movie industry and art. Like, I mean, the relationship you can create between a fan and a creator, I think, and also the interesting models you have with tokens where like, for example, you are owning a token and that means like you're like some sort of, you know, shareholder in a project, but maybe, you know, there are like drivers of demand that are linked to that. So this gives like an alignment of incentives. So I believe, you know, growth and in Web3 is also a lot related to tokens and not just NFTs. NFTs are a small tool, but tokens can be very powerful to create like interesting dynamics. An advice I will give to Web2 companies first, this, like if you're starting today and you know you think you open a Discord and you're just targeting Web3 people, probably they will make fun of you. They will claim whatever you have and they will disappear. And this is normal because, I mean, what do you think you are, right? Everyone is trying to do that. And that strategy is also working in silos, like, oh, I have this set of users that I don't understand, but I understand the CAC is very low. So what can I do for them, right? These MetaMask strange people. And then I have the other side of the funnel where like, you know, users that don't know anything and these people are not even connecting. So to me, it's kind of also ridiculous the fact that a lot of projects are showing off the infrastructure. So like, you know, 20 years ago, I'm using internet. Like, who cares, right? Like, you should do something great, and then like everything else should be in the back end. So these are kind of the advice I would say. But the best strategy, I believe, is something that actually makes sense from a technological perspective, doesn't divide these users, and it's something like grassroots. Like actually, you know, maybe let's say Louis Vuitton is doing something. They should do something new that, you know, makes sense and excites their user base instead of kind of trying to recycle an existing asset and make it something specific for Web3 people.
So I thank you for bringing up the topic of onboarding and converting new customers. I think let's go back to a little bit more on the VC side. Some of the KPIs that you guys would probably look at, which traditional VCs would look at, would be the customer acquisition, right? So from your point of view, what do you think that would look like in the next few years, considering that right now, as what Alessandro said, it's still relatively low?
It's a good question, and I would like to say that nobody knows anything, okay? I can predict whatever I want, nobody knows anything, you know? And again, it reminds me, a lot of things now remind me what happened 20 years ago when the bubble.com exploded. So I don't know, really, I don't know. I can speak for hours and tell a lot of words and a lot of things, but at the end of the day, and this is the way we look at Collider, our investment thesis right now is on the infrastructure, on the security, on the safety stack. So if you want to build a skyscraper, first of all, you need to dig deep in the ground to make the infrastructure secured. At the end of the day, the end user, he doesn't care. she doesn't care about how it is wired, the infrastructure is wired, behind the scenes. They want to have a seamless and a simple onboarding or experience. So yeah, we are focused more now on the infrastructure, and by that, it is more important for us to invest in the right products, and in products that will secure fraudless and safety and secure the environment, and by then you will be able to start building and acquire users. So the KPIs for us is, the amount of detections and frauds and everything that can be prevented, and how the protocols that we're working with are happy with it, and how this can help the entire ecosystem to grow on a safe. Because 20 years ago, if you remember, 96%, I would say, of the companies that were there in the bubble.com vanished and gone, and it was good. I think that here, in this time, we need to get rid of 99% of the companies. And I hope that not of companies that are sitting here on the stage, but really, we need to, and it's kind of a natural evolution of the industry. We're running for long distances, and this is a part of the game.
Thank you. So I would actually move to Davide. In terms of kind of going back to the onboarding process and converting customers, Consensys has been in the market for a long time. Can you comment a little bit on how you guys have kind of led the way, but also in terms of your opinions, how can companies help ease this onboarding process?
Yeah, I mean, I will respond here.
Maybe you can also talk about MetaMask.
Yeah. I mean, probably we are also some MetaMask colleagues here. I mean, I would love to answer this question from the eye of the consumer itself, because at the end, I mean, we are talking about consumer acquisition. I think that here there are three main pillars. So communication, education, and obviously user-friendly experience, so UX. I think that, I mean, the most important here driver for every Web3 company in order to acquire new user is still the communication. And this is valid for the Web3 in general, not only for the NFT space, for the DeFi, for Web3 in general, and for tech in general. Communication. Why communication? We are not changing, I think, the way we communicate with our consumers. We should better shape the content of the message. So I think that, I mean, before you have mentioned the internet parallel, I think that this is still valid. Also, internet 25 years ago was just a game for few people. Then they were able, over time, after also a long time of where the news, that's the same thing that we are experiencing in crypto since a long time, then communication improved. Then people understood, thanks to communication from tech company, from the .com company at the time, about the value the internet brought at the time. So that was the first step. The first step to let people understand what's the value behind the Web 2, and now what's the value behind Web 3. So we should communicate in simple terms. That's absolutely important. I mean, we can, I love to not speak anymore about NFT because I think it's still too much complex terminology. I think that we should probably find a new better term, or probably, I mean, NFTs in general, collectibles in general will have probably specific names made by brands themselves. So we will not speak about collectibles, but about a specific name cognated by a brand. And I mean, this is the first step. The second step is the education, but I think that the education is incentivized by the communication itself. So once people got essentially the opportunity that a new technology can open up, they are incentivized to learn, to understand better, okay, what I'm doing with this, not with this technology, but with whatever product that has the technology underlying that. So education is, I think, something that should start autonomously from people, thanks to a strong and simple communication. Education is a key, but then, I mean, there is also the last piece, and that's the user experience. So how internet was very hard to use 25 years ago, then just, I mean, 10 years before, so like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, computers, laptops entered our homes, also the homes of average guys. So this means that, I mean, in terms of user experience, internet was really has been I mean a really good example of how technology can become very user friendly, and this is also the same for the Web3 space. So we should provide very user friendly UX, but, and this will be, I mean, my conclusion here, UX is very important, and we were speaking about this before, but product market fit at the moment, above all in Web3, it's probably more important than the user experience. In the last couple of years, I've seen most people focusing on UX and not on the product market fit. And that's valid for new product in the NFT space, on the DeFi space, above all in the NFT space right now, because there is still a strong hype, because as I said initially, NFT aims to have a real mainstream adoption, so that's why there is a strong market opportunity for new incumbents. But what I've seen, and that's my personal opinion, lots of new products that we have seen on the market in the last couple of years, lack of product market fit. And that's, I think, also the problem of Web3 in general, the echo chamber problem. We are probably too sure about our assumptions. We are sure that what we are doing is something that is appreciated outside Web3, but I mean, this conflicts most of the time with the reality. So to come back to my conclusion, UX is important, but I mean, without a product market fit, UX become useless because you don't have users. So I mean, my suggestion in general for companies, startups, is to really try to understand the current Web2 issues, and that's if we want to relate that to the creator economy. I mean, we should speak with creators. We should understand which are their real needs and issues at the moment. They are scared about the social algorithms. They are scared about the community ownership. Okay, but let's understand also, I mean, if they are mature enough, and not only them, but above all their consumers, their audience, to really do this generational shift. Sorry if I think that the Gen Z here will be essentially the trigger point. I think the Gen Z in 3-5 years, when it will mature a lot, I think will be the real trigger point to do this mindset generational shift.
Okay, I'm actually moving to Alessandro first. Do you want to play a devil's advocate, or do you want to talk a little bit more about how Transak did a lot of this conversion and also onboarding? Because I think you guys were one of the more successful, maybe you're no longer in the startup phase, to actually make a lot of the user experience easier and also onboard a lot of Web3 and Web2 companies.
Yeah, I mean, I can't play devil's advocate because I agree. So, and I want to stress that. So my point of view is we will pretty much end up with the same UX, that is in Web2. And at the end of the day, on a philosophical standpoint, I mean, and also practical standpoint, what we are trying to do is to add decentralization layer to the existing internet, right? So, I mean, while the comparison is true with the dot-com bubble, like I think what is different is, I mean, internet was just a completely new and different thing that opened up an immense amount of knowledge, opportunity for commerce, and everything else. I think what Davide said is super important because if we end up with the same infrastructure, then we should actually focus on the narrative, right? What if tomorrow I have Spotify and a decentralized version of Spotify? Why should I choose the decentralized one? I think that's the most important thing for us to work on this and communicate why this technology can benefit users, can make better companies out there because the incentives are more aligned, because it creates maybe even a fairer world, in that sense, if you are someone like me that tries to, see the full half glass. So in that sense, obviously, if we look at, this journey to how we get there, I'm seeing, every company obviously needs to, at this point, still use, cash. So how do I get my users from cash to crypto, the other way around? I believe at a certain point, I even asked ChatGPT, what are the chances of CBDCs being issued on Ethereum? And he said like 30%, which is not that low, right? So at a certain point, everything is going to merge. So cash, crypto, doesn't really make a lot of difference if the infra is good and decentralized, right? So obviously, many people are against CBDCs for many reasons. As a European, I feel confident in a way about them. On the other side, I'm super, skeptical. But obviously, that the first killer use case of blockchain was payments, and actually nobody's doing payments. I mean, we have real-world assets and stable coins, and they do substantial amount of volume, and most of that is related to trading and hedging and, companies entering the space. But what about payments? So how do we get there? With payments is a very big question. Also, thinking about wallets, right? So I think, again, like now I'm seeing a big trend with wallet as a service. So you're trying to basically say, okay, how do I provide some sort of Web 2, Web 2.5 experience for people? And let's say we are able to do this transition. Then what is left? Only the concept of self-custody is left. So that's, again, a communication issue. How do I communicate that, you're actually in charge? What's the difference between tomorrow, like the decentralized Revolut and Revolut? So again, we're coming back to that point. Like it's a matter of communication. So obviously we are, I think, playing a key role, and wallets are playing a key role. I think MetaMask with MetaMask Snaps is also going this way, and we'll see all of this infra moving to this Web 2.5 experience. I'm positive because I'm seeing, even in a bear market, that there are a lot of investments, and honestly, today, if you can play with the right tools, you can create a good app. But we haven't done that much, also because we have to take into account that we have big incumbents. Like Apple is a big incumbent. They take 30% literally of whatever you're trying to do. So obviously they see a big, potential threat to their business. And I'm excited about PWAs, so these applications that you can run without the App Store, so that it's more permissionless. But yeah, I believe to really mature the user experience, we have to solve the hardware problem. Because at the end of the day, if you own the hardware and the software, you're still dictating the rules. So what I'm seeing from Polygon doing, the Polygon App Store and PWAs, or like, for example, even these attempts to do hardware, right? I think that's very important. Like, we should do more hardware, because that's only how we can really truly have something that can be permissionless. Otherwise, we'll have to fight really hard with these incumbents.
So I know that we kind of talked about the payment system, but maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the B2B or B2B2B, B2B2C point of view. I know that Tide protocol specifically, you've tried to ease a lot of the customer experience. So obviously there are many people who maybe do not yet have a wallet, and it actually stops them from using, I guess, scanning the QR code and then accessing some of the campaigns that you have. So you also kind of allow people to sign up with emails, right? So can you talk a little bit why, like what was the motivation behind that? And was it because you had a really big onboarding problem?
Yeah, sure. So Web3 UX improved massively over the last 3 years. Even before waiting for the next frontier of account abstraction, we already have several solutions, wallet as a services. There are dozens, right? So it is now currently possible to build apps with Web2 social logins, with gasless transactions. And we have seen that already examples in the market that are working well and that are having tractions, like Frentech, like Blackbird Labs, and we'll see many more in the next year. So as Alessandro rightly said, now it's a matter of combining the right tools, and you can build really consumer apps really fast, which was not possible 2-3 years ago. And so I think we are in this moment where you can have killer apps and even a 6 month, 1 year from now, because the infrastructure is there. There will be some more refinements on the wallet side, particularly when trying to solve interoperability, because when you offer a wallet, an email login or social login, sometimes this wallet cannot go to other platform. Your assets are stuck there, and so you basically are shifting the onboarding problem to further steps of a user journey. So suppose you take an NFT via Tide with this wallet, then you have to move to a MetaMask or create another wallet. But still, it's better. It's much better than having a friction up front, having the seed phrase. So yeah, we have been using the social login with gasless transaction for a year now. Using Magic Link, but we also we see that providers like Privy, like Economy, there are many now. So it's actually, I think it's more a matter of communication. It's more a matter of product market fit. It's more also a matter of Web3 companies going to Web2 conferences in the next years and trying to expand their reach. Because I think the infrastructure is really there now to have a great UX.
Okay, so we're going to kind of move away from the user experience point of view, and I think Davide mentioned this NFT has had its hype, right? And then recently Rolling Stone said NFTs are officially dead. So beyond the hype, Web3 marketing is kind of emerging as this utility within the NFT space. So we talk about token gating and loyalty programs that have suddenly emerged and become quite popular. Since Tide is really one of the leaders in this space, can you kind of share a little bit of what you think and what is your take for this new avenue for NFTs?
Yeah, it's definitely something that wants to provide a real use case, and loyalty can be. So the idea is that the NFTs can be earned by users that do stuff and tasks on websites. And there are advantages over traditional loyalty programs. The first being the fact that you have automatically access to an NFT ecosystem. So the Discord integrations, Twitter integrations, Shopify going out with the token-gated e-commerce. And so you don't have to develop your own backend, your own sealed infrastructure, but you can plug into different services in a matter of days and weeks rather than months. So this is the first advantage. Second advantage is that again, with the current attack infrastructure having problems, like the cookies, demise, and so on and so forth, companies are looking for ways to get first-party data better, because they can build better customer profiles. And using Web3 incentives is actually a way to do that. So I think one of the main Selling point of Web3 in the marketing space is that it makes 100x more efficient the transfer of value between businesses and users. And it's bidirectional, so user can give data and businesses can provide value. And this is something that's already happening. Let me share an example of an app. It's called Blackbird. It's basically doing loyalty for restaurant in the US. People check in with the NFC technology. They get a badge where they can maybe win a free beer. And in turn, restaurants know all the restaurants the customers are going, even the geolocation data. So it's a bit can be also controversial because it's maybe against the Web3 ethos, but in some ways it's what the companies are looking right now to solve. So loyalty has a big potential, but shouldn't be limited to NFTs have higher engagement because they look nice, they can be resold, and so on and so forth. There should be like a solid strategy about how they are plugged into traditional companies.
So going backwards now, Alessandro, what is your take on kind of NFTs moving towards this particular area? Token gating, loyalty programs?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think everyone kind of said it, but we need another word for NFTs because really, and potentially even for crypto, because because of a few actors, that obviously have tried to scam. Everyone is paying that toll, and this is really, I think, still really bad because at the end of the day we are taking a great piece of technology but people are adding so many layers, right? So they are skeptical from the beginning, and so that's to conclude, that kind of communication topic. In terms of, I think, token gating experience, they have potential, right, to create, to be the bridge between what we were saying today. So how can you build communities? Obviously, like we always had, like membership cards. At the end of the day, I think NFTs do that, right? In a sense, they grant you access to a digital community, but they can be much more than that because you can create interesting funnels where when you hold that, then you have, let's say, access tomorrow to something else, or you can mint another NFT, and I think that works very well. It could also work in Web2 with other tech, but I think we are at that point of the network effect where it could make more sense to build it in a Web3 way. So a lot of people are embracing that, and it's not because this tech is superior maybe, but just because the network effect is there, or at least that's my thesis, or will be there. But you could do pretty much the similar experiences, right, with Web2 tools. So I think we will see more and more companies using token gating experiences. I'm also excited about more tangible use cases, so like real world assets and tokenization. I think NFTs there are even more making sense. And again, probably you could say the same thing. It's not necessarily like better on Web3, but it makes sense because everyone is there and because of the network effect. So I think, that's also like tokenization in general. It's also a very big topic where like not maybe so much related to marketing, but like where like NFTs, in my opinion, will play a big part even to build like financial products and all.
So yes, to Davide, obviously you kind of pointed out that the NFT is a dirty word. So yeah, what is your point of view in terms of the new area of growth for NFTs?
Yeah, new area of growth. I mean, I would love to start from the token gated topic as well, and I love to play the devil advocate here. I think that, and this was probably to the big hype the NFT had in the last couple of years. I think that most of the promised utility of NFTs essentially could have been done with a simply Web2 email. So, we don't need collectibles, NFT, for lots of utility that we have seen right now. We are probably trying to stretch a lot the technology to essentially find some use cases. I'm not saying that there are no valuable use cases, and for example, Silvio mentioned the Shopify one. The token-gated e-commerce is a real, already actual, valid use case, above all in an era where internet users are caring more and more about their privacy. So, for example, all the concerns about leaving the authorization for your cookies, for making whatever company tracking your profile, it's a problem right now. It's a huge limitation about if you think about any e-commerce shopping experience personalization. So right now, the e-commerce experience, it's kindly broken because at the end, internet is changing a lot. So you cannot profile users as you were doing in the past. And here, for example, token gated have already probably I mean, in my view, it's probably already the strongest use case that we have. Why? Because essentially you are trying to provide to users a new way to identify themselves when they do a purchase. So it's a kind of a new identity. So it's a kind of, we can see these as we can see the wallet as a simply digital passport that collects all the experiences, all your behavior that you had during a time frame. And when you do, essentially, when you jump on a token-gated experience, essentially you are very autonomous to say, yes, I want to connect my wallet. So in this case, essentially the seller can identify myself, and they can also provide me a better shopping experience, or otherwise, I cannot do that because I don't wanna. I wanna be anonymous. And as the Shopify itself says, I think that I completely agree with this statement. I don't think that the best purchase experience above all on e-commerce is for the users to be anonymous. You want to be yourself when you do essentially, for example, a purchase. And what we have seen right now in Web 2 is that we have been influenced by ads and so on, because essentially they got our profile, our behaviors, and they try to influence ourselves. Token gated here, digital collectibles can already fix this, because in reality you have the same kind of personalization, but you have a real let's say data ownership and also full responsibility by the user itself. And this was about token gating. I think that, in terms of growth, for sure, in the NFT space, for sure, loyalty is the key point. And again, here, why, the current loyalty system is broken. It's broken because there are new needs coming from consumers, above all from young consumers. They have completely different expectation. So it's not a technology problem what we have in terms of loyalty in Web 2, but the new technology, the Web3 technology, can open up essentially all a solution that can fit the current loyalty problem. A current loyalty problem, it's about essentially business. It's about how you engage with and retain with your consumers. So it's not about technology. Web3 can be a good technology, but we should not stretch the Web3 technology infrastructure just hoping to find the best use case ever. In reality, we should again understand first which are the needs of brands and their community, understand how Web3 can fit with these needs. So this just to say that I think that loyalty is probably the most relevant topic when we refer to the NFT growth.
I would just like to add two words from a VC perspective point of view. We are not involved in any NFT project.
That's good.
I want to be a little bit provocative. I think that the rush to NFT was because the industry wanted to show an immediate mass adoption for something, and NFT was the first one to be there. So yeah, pushing a lot of case studies and use cases. It's great. Whether that will be the thing, I'm not sure. I don't know. At the end of the day, what will, if I'm thinking in the eyes of consumer, if my wallet would be my messaging, my email, my PA, or whatever, then I will use it. NFT is just, it's too complicated to understand. It's too complicated to communicate that. We are here very, in our own little ecosystem, think that the whole world is talking about NFTs and whatever, but 95% of the population still don't use it. So I don't want to disappoint anyone. I think it's a good evolution of the Web3, of the blockchain, and then just another use case of what we can do with this infrastructure to reach to the consumers, to the users, to the masses. If that would be the one, I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
I completely agree with you, and I want just to stretch also the point about the wallet. I strongly believe the wallet in a short while, and it's needed for sure for the mass adoption, will have a different completely phase. I think the wallet will transform themselves in social apps at the end. This is my idea, because I mean the mere concept of a wallet probably is something that it doesn't fit with the mainstream. Mainstream, yeah, wants something, a portfolio where to essentially store the assets that can be currency, that can be NFTs, but they want to rely on a unique source of truth. That's my point. So that's why I think that at the end, wallet will transform themselves, and probably, I would love to hear from Alessandro his thoughts. I strongly believe that at the end, wallets will become social apps.
No, I agree, and also I want to say, it's true, 95% of people are not talking about it, and that's, I think, the whole point. We will win when nobody has been very liquid because of its nature, right? So you can create a project and boom, you have a token, you have a way to do fundraising. Most companies have been doing that, right? So, but most of these projects and the infrastructure, even the use cases and the narrative was not ready. So we're still in that building phase. I think we are in maybe halfway, or I don't know what's the percentage, but definitely Silvio also said, today you can build something, right? Which is, I think, a good starting point. We can actually build stuff that work, and it was not the case before, but, because you could trade stuff, it felt like, oh, this is a mature industry. No, it's not. It was just like a bunch of, early stage projects that were trading at crazy valuations. So, now that we're entering a more mature phase of this industry, the infrastructure will mature, but we have to stop, searching for it's a solution in search of a problem, right? So whatever makes sense will emerge, and I think we will be having some good apps that are making sense, and they will be maybe even mainstream, but the technology will not be, nobody's talking about infrastructure, not in this sector, but in general, just because it's boring. If you don't work in that particular sector, you don't care, how your house is made in the basement. It's just why would I care? So everybody talks about front end. So everyone needs to start thinking about good ideas that are making sense, and I'm excited about a lot of those that are emerging. But I think we need this narrative shift. Some people will keep building infra, some people will bring good ideas into this industry, and they will make mainstream apps. But they will not be famous because they are crypto companies. They will just be using part of this stack to make successful apps.
Thank you. Yes.
I just want to add one more thing. Because the industry and the technology and everything, it's so complicated. What we really, not really, but another thing that we need is good marketeers to come up from the Web 2 industry to the Web 3 to help us to tell the story right, to tell the right communication, the right content, because sometimes, you know, this very hardcore technology-driven industry kind of blocks people that don't have this technology background to enter into our world. And this is kind of, wherever I go and speak, I'm calling for action. I'm calling for good marketeers to come over to this space, because we really need you. There's a place. You don't have to be techie.
No, I think that's great. So, Silvio, do we have one last thing to add?
Yeah, no, I agree with everyone here. Like, we need super simple apps that have a strong value proposition for consumer adoption. And we need also for the industry to mature and have shifted mindset to a more like sales, marketing oriented. So I think also we see a change in how conferences are made in Web3. And again, let me stress, like Web3 companies in Web2 conferences for the mass adoption in the next years.
Okay. I want to thank my entire panel. So thank you, Davide. Thank you, Alessandro. Thank you, Silvio and Yoav. And I think we've run out of time. And I hope you guys actually took something quite valuable from this panel. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Laura.